Pan-African solidarity with the people of Eswatini, also known as Swaziland, in their legitimate demand for an end to autocratic monarchical rule and for a democratic governance anchored on the will of the people as expressed in free and regular elections. We are concerned by the escalating crisis in Swaziland. We unreservedly condemn the heavy-handedness of the Royal Eswatini Police Service and the Eswatini Defense Force, who are indiscriminately firing live ammunition on defenseless civilians in the wake of demonstrations against Africa's last absolute monarchy. The use of such disproportionate force has resulted in at least 50 deaths, an estimated 1,000 civilians have been wounded or shot, and more than 500 people, mostly young people, randomly arrested, arbitrarily detained, and denied bail. Citizens' freedoms of association, expression, and assembly have been seriously undermined, including through the shutting down of internet and the hunting down of activists. The current protest followed a grossly undemocratic decree that banned protests and the delivery of petitions to government officials as well as members of parliament, effectively closing democratic channels for people to freely express themselves and air their grievances. The genesis of the crisis in Eswatini or Swaziland can be tracked back to the Proclamation number 7 of 12 April 1973 by King Mswati II that abolished multi-party democracy in favor of an absolute monarchy that has since ruled the country with an iron fist. It did not guarantee freedom of association and political parties remained banned. Repressive legislation such as the 2008 Suppression of Terrorism Act and the 1938 Sedition and Subversive Activities Act has severely restricted democratic and civic space and have been deployed to target human rights defenders such as trade unions, students, churches, journalists, civil society groups, and political activists. The political situation in Eswatini is exacerbated by the huge inequalities where King Mswati III is believed to have a net worth in the region of USD 500 million, and only those close to the royal family have comfortable lives, whilst more than 60% of citizens are living on less than USD $1.09 a day. Swaziland is ranked 138th of 189 countries in the latest 2020 Human Development Index and has the 10th highest income inequality in the world. So just to highlight the economic situation that is in that particular country, the socio-economic situation. The autocratic rule in Swaziland violates regional, continental, and international principles of human rights, democracy, and the rule of law, as coded in the various statutes, including the SADC Treaty, the African Charter, and the African Charter on Human and People's Rights, the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights, to which Swaziland is a state party. To the Eswatini government to uphold its domestic and international obligations on the respect of human rights, democracy, and the rule of law. Human rights abuses against defenseless citizens must stop. The military must return to the barracks, and an independent investigation into the atrocities must be done to ensure accountability. An absolute monarchy has no place in the 21st century, and the political system in Swaziland must evolve and be aligned to the wishes and aspirations of Amaswati. We salute the governing African National Congress and the economic freedom fighters in South Africa for standing with the people of Swaziland. We urge all fellow Africans and the international community to support Eswatini democratic movement in their just cause for a democratic country. In line with our global agenda to provide solidarity to other struggles for democracy, we reiterate demands of the pro-democracy movement in Eswatini, in particular the following. Number one, an inclusive political dialogue. Number two, unbanning of political parties. Number three, a transitional authority. Number four, a new democratic constitution. Number five, a multi-party dispensation anchored on free, fair, and credible elections. Fundamental political and economic reforms are central to ending autocracy, reducing extreme poverty, and improve the lives of ordinary citizens in Swaziland. We submit that an inclusive dialogue underwritten by SADC and the African Union remains the only plausible, peaceful path to resolving the current crisis. One, SADC to consult a broad church of stakeholders during the recent fact-finding mission in Eswatini, we welcome the subsequent statement by the chairperson of SADC organ on politics, defense, and security, His Excellency President Masisi, to the effect that SADC will undertake a second mission to engage the pro-democracy movement. We appeal to SADC to treat the Eswatini crisis with the urgency it deserves by immediately commissioning the second mission to avert further catastrophe and unnecessary loss of property and life. We firmly believe that autocratic governance has no place in our beloved continent, in line with our own Agenda 2021 and the African Union Agenda 2063. Eswatini must be free from autocracy, Zimbabwe must be free from fascism, Africa shall be free from dictatorship. One Africa, one people, Inja one, Inja all. Injustice anyway is a threat to justice everywhere. Democracy in our lifetime. Thank you so much. Maintained an open, communication with the Southern African Development Community to make sure that they do understand our circumstances, but also the circumstances of fellow citizens that find, of fellow SADC citizens that find themselves in similar circumstances of autocracy, like the kind of dictatorship in fascism that we find in Zimbabwe. So we will not tire as the Movement for Democratic Change Alliance. We will continue to engage. I'm sure you might have followed at some point, we actually had a mission to go and sit down with the Executive Secretary, and we were quite grateful that we were given that opportunity to sit down with her and exchange on the Zimbabwean question, and we'll continue to do so. We'll also continue to speak to individual SADC countries, South Africa, Zambia, Mozambique, to speak to them and to make sure that they do understand the Zimbabwean situation and the need for a dialogue process that is facilitated and underwritten by the region. So I think that's how I will answer your first question, Blessed. Your second question on the 5 critical issues that we are focusing on, with the big idea being on convergence. We are focusing, very strongly on the convergence aspect and make sure that, we converge with the pro-democracy movement, the entirety of the pro-democracy movement in Zimbabwe, to deal with the question, in the country, and to be able to respond, to the situation that we find ourselves in. We are glad that, the momentum is really building around this convergence, and we are at a very advanced stage in making sure that we'll be, rolling out programs very soon. Thank you.
Any other question? Is it a follow-up? Sure. Or a different one?
A second mission to engage, the pro-democracy movement. So, it's also up to us as SADC citizens, to be able to demand what is rightfully ours. I think, that's one of the lessons, definitely, that we also learned from Eswatini, that as a people, and this is not just for the MDC Alliance, it's for everyone, because everyone in Zimbabwe, be it, churches, be it students, everyone wants a democratic country. A democratic country is good for everyone, including you journalists. You want media freedoms and things like that. So it's important for us, which is why in our Agenda 2021, we're talking about convergence and the need for the people of Zimbabwe to come together and to, confront the regime from a united position.
Oh.